Meet the Mets, meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life because the Mets are really sucking the ball. Knocking those home runs over the wall. East side, west side, everybody's coming down to meet the METS Mets of New York town. Oh, the butcher and the baker and the people on the streets, where do they go? To meet the Mets! Oh, they're hollering, they're cheering, and they're jumping in their seats. Where do they go? To meet the Mets! All the fans are true to the orange and blue, so hurry up and come on now, 'cause we got ourselves a ball for the Mets of New York now. Give them a yell, give them a hand, and let them know you're rooting in the stand. Come on and meet.
Hi, everybody. This is the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the People's Champion, your host, the Hut. And please subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and like the video. So I want to welcome some people to the chat before we get into this news. Hello, Pat Cole, Eddie Wilkes, Steve Perez, Southern Cal Mets fan, Peter Coyne, I'm saying his name right, Charles Hutner. What's going on, boys and gals? Do have some women that do watch the live streams. Now, we've done a couple of different things here. You can't participate in the chat unless you're a subscriber. And hopefully that'll cut down on some bots and maybe get some new subs in here. And away we go. Hello, Robert. Hi, how are you? So again, please like the video. So let's get to it. So as you know, everyone's having like this sort of meltdown. Everything's a meltdown online. I was thinking about this today. Before we get into this, Eduardo Escobar. I am back. No, you can't hear me because my audio, my internet connection died on me. But let me get to some more people. Hello, John Talento, Tai Chi. Let's get into Escobar if we will. I don't, hopefully no internet connection problems tonight, but there shouldn't be. This will really irritate me because this is some interesting news here tonight. Get the Escobar's baseball reference page. Let me take down the banner. As that's not working again. All right. Please like this video if you haven't already, and hopefully my my picture will come up. God help me, it's not working. All right, sorry about that. I'm going to read this on the side because my internet connection is really bad right now. So the Mets signed today, and it's not official. He's got to pass the physical. Eduardo Escobar. He has been around a bit. He's 32 years old. Um, he played for the Diamondbacks last year, and he also played for the Milwaukee Brewers. Now, I had hoped that the Mets would have signed him, would have traded for him um, before the trading deadline, but that did not happen. So the Mets are sort of a little behind in terms of certain things, but we do have a new general manager, which is terrific. They needed somebody in here to help them out. All right, let me see if I can get this to come up again. I'm gonna try this one more time. If it doesn't come up this time, we'll just scrap this. But please like this video. In the meantime, one more time. Let's try this one more time. One more thing, sir. See if I can get baseball reference to come pop it up. Let's see. Let's see. There we go. Hey. I did my best. I got it on here. Whew. All right. All right. Here's Eduardo Escobar's numbers from 2011 to 2021. So he's 32 years old. They got him at age 33 and 34. So that would mean, and I would think that this would take them out of bringing back Jonathan Villar. Oh, boy. I would assume that they're probably out on that. That's not going to happen now. He's a better player than Villar. In 2018, he hit 23 home runs and 84 RBIs, 35 home runs in 2019, 118 RBIs, 28 home runs last year, 90 RBIs with two teams, one being a playoff team. Um, his on base is not very high, but he can hit. He's a 250 hitter. He's got power. He is not a guy that's going to be on the bench. He's going to be playing every day. He's an everyday player. He's going to play 140, 150 games. Um, they're probably going to bounce him around. He's an infielder. They bounce him to, second base, third base, and of course, a little bit of first. This is a very good move for the Mets because I don't even want to talk about depth. He's going to play every day. This is not a depth piece. Okay. This is a guy who's going to be part of the everyday lineup, and he's going to be there. And this probably takes him out of Bryant, I would assume. That's the guy I would assume that this will take them out of. The word is tonight is that Baez is still in on Baez. We'll get to Baez in a minute. So, this is a different kind of situation with, let's see any updates here. On Twitter on the side, and it's all about Escobar. So it's all about Escobar. So Escobar will be the third baseman, I would assume, every day for the Mets while Beatty and Vientos are developing. Um, Escobar is a switch hitter. He doesn't have speed, but he's going to be batting sixth or seventh in this Mets lineup, I would assume. But like I said, going through his numbers, the last 3 or 4 years, he's been a very good everyday player. Since 2017, 21, 23, 35, and 28, and 2020 was just a disaster for him. But all the other years, he's been very, very good. He's bounced around a little bit. Chicago, the Twins, Diamondbacks, the Brewers, now the Mets. I would assume Jonathan Villar is not going to come back. Um, that's too bad because he really provided a lot of energy for this team, but they did not score runs. You got to bring in people that are gonna hit. Now he does have a very good reputation. This guy. One thing the Mets like about him, and one thing that baseball likes about him, he's a great teammate. So he's not get. I don't think he's gonna embarrass anybody here. So that's always a good sign. Yeah, back to the chat. Nelson Cruz, the former Mister Captain Obvious, back to Nelson Cruz. Hello, Geo. And we're just getting started with the show. I got so much stuff here tonight to talk about. That stuff that I was going to talk about anyway. So this sort of gives us a little bit of fuel to the fire a little bit with the signing of Escobar. Now, a lot of talk earlier was with Javi Baez. So uh, the word is the Mets are not out of this. That the Mets are still talking to Baez. They're interested in him still. Um, I've talked a lot about in the videos how much the Mets need a lot of help. They need a lot of help um, offensively, and that's got to be the main focus on this team is to improve the offense. Uh, Escobar does that. Now, if they sign Baez, which the Mets, the Tigers, and the Red Sox are all in it. I'm surprised the Tigers are in it, but I would assume they'll probably put him at second. And the Tigers are interesting enough are uh, are in on it. So that means if they're in, and I'm trying to figure out where is Correa gonna go? Where is he gonna go? Um, Big Pomp number one, how you doing? But the Mets are in an interesting spot because they have the money. They have an owner that wants to spend. Um, and all these interesting free agents are out there. We're going to go through some of these free agents, and I have an interesting update on Max Scherzer, which I did a video on Max Scherzer last week, and I had a lot of complaints about it, but you know, I am a Nostradamus when it comes to baseball. I could see down the road. Eddie Wilkes says Correa wants a contract like Lindor. Well, we'll see. He might not get it. He might not get that. Because if he doesn't go to Detroit, because Detroit seems to be the team that wants him the most. I've not heard the Rangers anywhere attached to Correa. It's really been the Tigers, really. So I've been very surprised, And he's not going to go back to the Astros because he's not going to take the money that they're offering him. They're not going to offer what he's looking for. You know. Also, Nelson mentioned this in the chat. He says he is a switch hitter, so it gives the Mets a lot of flexibility uh, in the lineup. And the Mets don't have enough. They only have one switch hitter, really. So this is a very strong signing for the Mets, but they need a lot more. And he did play postseason last year. and in 2017, excuse me, for the Twins. So he's played a little bit, some experience, so that that helps. Um, but this is a very good sign by the Mets. They need help. They need a lot of offensive help. They need pitching help, um, and they need to do more. Obviously, they're gonna have to do more. And we have to December 1st. That's the deadline when the CBA ends to select the bargain agreement. So what's going to happen then is that all these players are going to be basically their backs up against the wall with because once that happens, once it expires, no player movement. And I don't expect any player movement until probably February. I don't expect anything being done until February and close to March. We're going to be up in the spring training still talking about when they're going to be playing baseball. So we're going to be waiting a long, long time. And that is not a joke. I wish I was joking. I think it's going to be really bad. You know. Eddie Wilkes says Boston isn't unfamiliar. Okay. It's the only thing we've heard about him. He can go back there up with Hansel Robles. They could both point to the air. Especially Hansel. It's, Hansel Robles. Point to the air. Praying that God knocks that ball down because the ball's going out of the ballpark. Hoping God catches it. Now I'm going to read you before we get into some other things. We'll get into Marcus Stroman, crazy Max Scherzer. We'll get into this article that I have on Fansided. Let me get myself out of here. Okay, I'm going to read this to you a little bit. He does what a great picture of Max, isn't it? What a great photo. But I mentioned last week that the Mets were going to sign him, tongue in cheek, of course. But he is from Fansided, always ahead of the curve. Always ahead of the curve when it comes to this stuff. When it comes to anything. Don't call me the people's champion for nothing. But headline: MLB insider reveals Mets are trying to sign Max Scherzer. I'm not an MLB insider. They're just listening to my videos. Hoping the Mets are listening. The New York Mets are very interested in signing Max Scherzer and his free agency this winter. One MLB insider shares the New York Mets are doing their very best to sign right-handed starter Max Scherzer and his free agency. John Heyman of the MLB Network reports the Mets are determined to add a frontline starter to their rotation this offseason. They had reportedly prioritized Scherzer, Kevin Gausman, and Robbie Ray. Interesting. I didn't know about this Robbie Ray. I missed that part of the tweet. In that order, while incumbent right-handed Marcus Stroman is still in the mix to return to some degree, the Mets have made it be known what their preferences are for their offseason cycle. We'll get into the Stroman. I am not a big fan of Marcus Stroman at all, to be honest with you. So, hello, John Calorie. I'm not a big fan of Marcus Stroman. So let's go down a little bit further. Scherzer may have won a World Series with the 2019 Washington Nationals, but he doesn't have all that many more stabs at getting back to the Fall Classic and winning it. When he was traded from the Nationals to the Dodgers at the deadline, he and the Boys in Blue were unable to win the National League pennant in back-to-back seasons. They fell in 6 to the Atlanta Braves. Though one could argue, did I go too far? One could argue that my computer was very slow tonight. Come on. Please like this video in between and subscribe. I will be back on YouTube tomorrow on the Baseball Hut too. So I'm sure there'll be stuff to talk about that tomorrow as well. As my computer's frozen. This is annoying. All right. No one could argue. Let me see if I can get to this. It is not like the Braves or the Phillies are fading anytime soon. The pathway toward the postseason has to be through winning one's division. Though the Mets led the NL East throughout much of the summer, they collapsed down the stretch and missed the postseason. While money talks, it's hard to see Scherzer being as interested in the Mets as they are of him, are in him. And I was thinking about this. I was thinking about this with the Mets. He's signing Scherzer is very similar to when the Mets signed Pedro Martinez. Then once they brought him in, Pedro, it sort of changed everything with the Mets. That they sort of became a better situation. So signing a big free agent like Max Scherzer could sort of pave the way um, to bigger things. Uh, so, but that's why it's important to sign these big guys because now what's great about this, signing Escobar, go back Escobar for a little bit. It doesn't make it seem like um, that that players don't want to come here. Players do want to come here. That's all nonsense that the media has put out there. I'm tired of hearing about this with the media. There's plenty of players that want to come here. There's plenty of people that want to play here and want to work here. But obviously, the problem is the media sucks here. Okay, it's really bad here. The city is in bad shape. Okay, that's why the Mets had a difficult time hiring a general manager. I think. It's not because of Sandy. Now Met. This is the thing about the Met fan base. Just to go to that for a second. I'm bouncing all over the place because this is good news to talk about. uh, Mets have a great fan base. We're all great fans, but there is a segment of the fan base that's pretty toxic. And like I said, I've been dealing with it over the last couple of months, over the past year. Steve Perez, I agree, Hut. Signing Scherzer would change everything, not to mention having a legendary 1-2 of him and DeGrom would remind me of Johnson, Schilling. Cohen needs to meet with him and Boras personally, or Schilling and Pedro. Because in 2003 they brought in Schilling from the Diamondbacks, and it became like a. It's the reason why they won. It nothing to do with analytics or anything. They brought in the best pitchers to pitch for the Red Sox. To be honest with you, I'm gonna read you from earlier today from MLB TradeRumors.com, and we'll talk about this in here. It talks about Billy Epler. So please like this video. In the meanwhile, Billy Epler, Mets engage in a ton of starting pitching talks. Billy Epler has only formally been the Mets GM a bit more than a week, but he's jumped right into the mix and look how quickly he signed this guy. So the people say, "Why they're not doing this?" They signed him. They what do you think was going to happen? They're going to sign that player the next day if they hired Epler. But he's jumped right into the mix and is working to bolster the team's starting staff. He said in an appearance on MLB Network's radio on Sirius XM this week. This was yet on Wednesday. That he's engaged in a ton of starting pitching right now. A spotlight was shined on the Mets' interest in the rotation market this week when owner Steve Cohen voiced frustration with Steven Matz's representatives after the lefty spurned his former Mets club to sign a 4-year deal with the Cardinals. The Mets also attended Justin Verlander's showcase earlier this offseason, though he has since re-signed with the Astros. Starting pitching is an obvious need for the Mets, who already watched Noah Syndergaard reject their qualifying offer for a slightly larger guarantee with the Angels. The Mets also don't know whether free agent Marcus Stroman will return, and they've already announced that Carlos Carrasco. Don't expect anything from Carrasco. Don't expect a damn thing from Carrasco. Carrasco is a bust. And at his age and with all his health issues, don't expect anything from him. But getting to Stroman, I'll continue to read this article in a moment. Here's the thing about Stroman: he's got 6 teams on him. The Mets, the Red Sox, the Giants, the Cubs, the Angels, and I'll put the Padres there because the Padres were mentioned in October when it came to connecting with the Mets. So he has a very big market. I don't know if he's going to sign before December 1st, but he's going to be He's pretty active right now, and there's a lot of people that are very interested. A lot of teams interested in him because he stayed healthy last year. He stayed healthy, and he was able to sort of, make all of his starts, and he did a really good job. Now, I am not a big fan of his. I've been very consistent about him. I don't like his size long term. I think he's small. Um, he's a great athlete, but he's 5 foot nothing, and he's 5'7". Um, and even though he was very durable this year, I think long term he could be an issue. Plus, I'm not a big fan of his whole persona that he has. I don't really care for it. And considering the kind of losing mentality the Mets had in the clubhouse, he does not appeal to me long term. It's probably a big reason they brought in Escobar because he's a good clubhouse guy. Mets had a bad clubhouse, and we're going to talk about Jeff McNeil and JD Davis. They might be finished here. Especially Davis since they brought in Escobar. But what was I saying? Oh, about Stroman. So he had a good year, Stroman. But I am not a big fan of him. I've been very consistent, like I said earlier, last year, that I would think long and hard about giving him a long-term deal prior to the last season. So I would not kill myself um, giving him a big contract. 3 years at most would be with me. Now he's looking for 5 years. I cannot do that, and no team worth their worth and salt should do that. They're better off signing Scherzer to a 2-3 year deal, hoping they can get to a World Series with him, pitching for the team, than bringing in back Stroman. You have to sort of look at it very honestly. The Mets won 77 games last year. They were a losing team, and they were horrendous in the second half of the season. They were about as bad as you can get. So, why are we all getting all worked up about them bringing back Syndergaard? Why are we getting all worked up about them re-signing Stroman? Why you get all worked up about Baez re-signing? It didn't work. It didn't work. You know. From Steve Perez, disagree about Carrasco. I wouldn't base my offseason signings around expecting much from him. They need to sign at least two established starting pitchers. Having said that, if anyone's due for a rebound, it's him. He does have a huge heart, but he had cancer. How many players have ever come back? Any athletes ever come back from having cancer? You know, or John Lester, but he had that younger. He had that in his 20s. That cancer that he had, but Carrasco's had injuries with the arm. He had a bit hamstring injury. I don't know. That was not a good. That's not going to turn out. That's turned out to be a really bad trade the Mets made with the Indians, Guardians, whatever the hell they're calling themselves these days. And I want to make a prediction about the Guardians. The Guardians are going to have the worst year in the history of their franchise. That's my prediction. But we have now talking about Baez. Baez has three teams on: the Mets, the Red Sox, and the Tigers. Uh, the Tigers are in it now. They've sort of come back from the abyss that they were in for all those years. Um, they have a very good manager, and they have the same record as the Mets do, 77. But the perception is different with them. Their their arrow's going up. The Met arrow's going down. So Baez would be perfect for them. Baez would be good for any team because he can hit with power. He strikes out a lot. That's a big problem. Great base runner, very good infielder. Uh, but with the Mets, I kind of be like, sort of half and half with him. I'm half and half. If he signs with the Mets, great. If he doesn't with them, great. I'm fine with it. And the fact they brought in Escobar brings in um, a different kind of personality into the clubhouse. He's a good clubhouse guy. So they went after a guy that's got a good character and he's productive. And he's been productive. So we'll see how that sort of works out. But he's got 2 years. Escobar's got a 2-year contract for 20 million, with a third year option. I don't know if it's a team option or a player option. I would assume a team, maybe a mutual option. Who knows? Um, but that those details will come out, I guess, in the next few days, especially after he passes physical. If he passes one, let's see. Let's see. Just check and see if any more news. I'm gonna be off a little bit, so we're not gonna. This is not gonna be a short show right now. But I will be back just to sort of let you know. I'll be back on tomorrow night on the Baseball Hut 2. The Baseball Hut 2 is doing really, really well. I'm very happy with it. But just want to let you know that. But Nelson Cruz says the cascade of signs not out of the possibility. Steve Perez says someone reported Escobar was a club option, but obviously we don't know for sure until it's official. Okay, that's fine. A little sort of rumor that went out a little while ago. This is what the Baltimore Orioles. I don't know what the hell the Orioles are doing down there. And seeing this thing was very, very distressful for me because because Baltimore was a great place to watch a ball game, and to see what the Orioles have done to themselves in terms of losing. Cedric Mullins apparently might be on the trading block. Why, I don't know. He's 26 years old. He's got 3 years before he hits free agency. Why would you trade him now? Now, John Means is one thing, because the rumor's been that John Means is on the block. But why are you trading Cedric Mullins, who has had a good year, won a Silver Slug Award, was ninth in the MVP voting for a bad team, historically bad team. And there should be about 6 teams on him: the Phillies, the Rangers, the Astros, the Giants, the Mets, and the Yankees. What are they thinking? What are the Baltimore Orioles thinking? Thank you, Matthew Landau. Yes, I was getting into it. What are the Baltimore Orioles thinking about? Do they want to win? They want to build a team down there? You can't tell me they have the money. And you can't tell me that the fans don't care about the team down there. They really care down there. They care more about that team than they do about the Nationals down there. It's crazy. I don't know why they would do that. All right, let me get back to the article. The current timeline has Carrasco returned early in spring training, but that issue combined with David Peterson's late July foot surgery and the forearm issue that ended Jacob deGrom's season early July only serves to further muddy the outlook. This thing with deGrom. Now, I wouldn't say this. The Met schedule is much better this year than it was last year. The Met schedule was horrendous. It was about as bad as you might get in terms of just, you can't be pitching your best pitcher in cold weather. You must stay away from that at all costs. Mets didn't do that, and his season was never really the same after that start in Colorado. The Mets are reportedly loath to sign a free agent who'd require them to surrender a draft pick, as doing so would mean forfeiting their second highest pick in this instance, number 14 overall selection in the draft. New York also has number 11 pick as Robbie Ray off the table. Oh, I'm sorry. As compensation for not signing top pick Kuma Rocker in the 2021 draft. That might take Robbie Ray off the table, but he's the lone remaining free agent starting pitcher to be tied to draft compensation. The Mets are interested in Ray, so they might just give up the one pick because they're going to get another pick for Conforto. Mike Puma this week of the New York Post argued this week that even that steep penalty shouldn't necessarily dissuade the Mets from pursuing Ray. The remaining free agents, including Stroman, Kevin Gausman, John Gray, and Carlos Rendon, among others, can be signed absent of draft pick considerations. The trade market, of course, presents myriad of I don't care about this up. Let's skip a little bit. For instance, the Mets would make a strong push for one of Athletics available stars Frankie Montez, Sean Mania, and Chris Bassett offering to take on the remaining $8.25 million owed to outfielder Stephen Piscotty. Could persuade the A's to settle for a less return. Let's take a look at Stephen Piscotty. I didn't realize that he was, he might be available. I forgot he was out there. Wow, look at the people in here. So please like this video if you haven't already. There was a lot of talk, from here in New York, and I mentioned in the video the Mets might take on, a salary if they don't have to give up much. Let's take a look at Steven Piscotty. I don't know if I'd bring him in here. Let me just take a look. A couple things here. Steven Piscotty is a free agent after next season. I don't know. Right-handed bat. But the A's are so weird. Piscotty's last best year was in 2018. He had 267, 41 doubles, 27 home runs, and 88 RBIs as the right fielder. Now, the Mets don't have a right fielder right now. But he was hurt all last year in 2021. Hurt in 2020, I assume, and hurt in 2019. He's done very little with the A's over the last 3 years. I don't know. I don't know if I would do that. I don't know about that. I don't know if that's something the Mets could do. I don't know. That might not be. That doesn't appeal to me. All right, let me get back to the article. To be clear, that's just one example, and there's no indication the A's are open to that specific scenario. But that type of arrangement is another in which Epler could leverage the Mets' financial might and trade talks. Whichever route the Mets ultimately take, some degree of upgrade seems inevitable. The current rotation projects to include DeGrom, who knows if he's healthy, Carrasco, who knows if he's healthy, Taijuan Walker, Tyler McGill, and McGill's still going to be on an innings limit, and David Peterson. It's not at all poor content if all healthy, but for the big market club with postseason aspirations and additional veteran too, they had some dependable innings behind DeGrom's logical pursuit. Oh, that's true. They need a lot of help. Now that we've sort of had the first year of the Steve Cohen era, we have to see, where this team goes from here. This is not a great offense, even with Escobar now on this team. It's not very good offensively. The pitching, the bullpen is pretty good, even though they lost Loop. I'll mention Andrew Chafin, who doesn't have a qualifying offer, was as a free agent. That's a guy the Mets could look at. He's a very good reliever. Pitched for the Cubs last year. We're gonna find out, what Epler can do here. Now, I would point out too a couple other things. Jeff McNeil. This move with Escobar could probably send Jeff McNeil out of here. And I think J.D. Davis' time here is done too. I think those two guys could be gone. I don't know about Dom Smith, but they're definitely going to be gone, and especially if they feel that McNeil is a cancer in the clubhouse. Steve Perez says McNeil can shift to the outfield. He's too versatile and professional of a hitter to get rid of after just one down year, in my opinion. I don't think the problem is his bat. I think the problem is his attitude. I think that the Mets are going to have to think long and hard on what to do with Jeff, because Jeff, I mentioned this a couple weeks ago, the story that came out about the fight between him and Lindor had a lot to do with where McNeil was positioned on the field, and that he did not want to participate in the shifts. And because of that, the two of them were fighting a lot. And you cannot have your best player fighting with his double play partner, because his double play partner doesn't want to listen to the coaching staff and doesn't want to do what he needs to do to help the team win. Um, and then you see the effect of it on the field when players aren't in position. That's totally different situation than say they don't like each other. It seems to be more of a professional issue in terms of on the field than it does say they don't like each other inside the clubhouse. That's one thing. Players get on each other's nerves all the time, but on the field, this seems to be the problem. And if he's not going to hit 300, and his defense can be sort of shaky at times, and he was not good at second. I was very surprised. I thought he would be much, much better at second base, but he's not a good second baseman. So the Mets are going to have to figure out. I would assume they have an idea what they're going to do now with Mcneil. I think McNeil's he's probably a good chance he's probably going to get traded. The only problem is you're getting him at a very low price. So the Mets are probably going to have to take back a headache to get him out of here. Take in a headache to get rid of a headache. You know, that's too bad because I really like the way he hits, but he did not hit well. He didn't have a good year at all. He didn't have a good spring training. He didn't have a good season. He got injured. It was just a bad year for Jeff McNeil. Now the JD Davis, he didn't have a position. He's a DH. Um, I thought he was pretty good in the outfield in 2019. Uh, and if you looked at his numbers from this past season, they look pretty good. But if you watched him after he came back from the injury in the second half, something didn't look right. Now, if there is a problem with the hand, he had surgery on his hand. That's the issue. Well, he still had decent numbers if you looked at him, but he didn't hit with men on base. The home run total was almost non-existent. The RBI total was very low. He's not somebody that is going to do it long term, and I think there's going to come. You're going to have to trade him too. I think he didn't have a position now, and if you got Escobar here, if you bring in Baez back or some big middle infielder, I mean, what are you going to do with JD Davis? He's got no place to play. You're going to play him in left field, and you're going to play him in a platoon with Dom Smith. Dom might be out of here too. And Dom could be non-tender. There's a possibility Dom could be non-tender. Beginning on the first. That's another thing to keep in mind. There's going to be a flood of players on November 30th. They're going to be flooding the market like crazy. This is on Tuesday, if I remember right, Tuesday. So it's going to get very crazy here over the next few hours and few days and stuff. But so Jeff McNeil could be gone. JD Davis could be gone. The future Dom Smith with this team is in the air. Dom looked terrible. I don't care what anybody tells me. I don't trust Dom Smith in the long term. He's a nice kid, but I don't like the way his swing is. I don't like the way the body language has gotten better. But I'm not a big fan of his bat. I never was. He had a good year in 2020. He played pretty good in 2019. But if you look at his numbers, you erase last year, he's a negative player in terms of wins above replacement. According to Baseball Reference, it's horrendous. It's bad. And I'm not a big fan of his. And I'm a big fan of Pete Alonso. Pete is probably going to break the Mets all-time home run record. He needs help in that lineup. Dom is not going to do that. Richard says, I would trade JD Davis and Smith before getting rid of Jeff McNeil. That's the problem with Jeff. The problem with Jeff is he's such a good hitter. He will hit 300. If there's one guy that can burn the Mets long term going forward, it's McNeil. That's why if you trade him, you get something back in return. You have to get a big prospect for him. He's worth a big prospect. A blue chip prospect. He's that good of a hitter. But his attitude's lousy. You can't have him if he has a bad attitude. You can't have him here if he has a bad attitude. And he might be the one guy that you can probably get a lot for. You're not going to get a lot for Dom Smith, and you're not going to get a lot for J.D. Davis. Maybe get a moderately good prospect for each of them. But you're not going to get a big I think the Mets could get a big prospect for Jeff McNeil. It's too bad he had a bad year this past year. Or they probably could have gotten somebody really, really good. You know, but Mets have time now. Like I said, we're gonna have a lot of crazy stuff, and we're gonna be talking about a lot of stuff here on this channel and on the other channel. Again, I have a video up on Javier Baez about a very short video on the Mets trade. Not Mets trade. The Mets talking about Baez. The Tigers involved. The Red Sox involved. I wouldn't be surprised if the Rangers and the Astros were involved in him too. Although those teams I haven't heard much of, but we'll see how that works out. Hold on, I need a drink. Hold on, I need a drink. Look, look, look. All right. Now, please like this video if you haven't already. And subscribe to the Baseball Hut. If you are coming through and you want to participate in the chat, please subscribe to the channel and you can ask me anything. So I would assume with them signing Escobar that Jonathan Villar is out and Chris Bryant is probably out. I would think. Those are two names that are probably gone. It's interesting. I have a list of my players here that I would like to see the Mets bring in. And one of the guys I didn't realize I put his name down was Eduardo Escobar. So he's now with the Mets on a 2-year deal of $20 million. Done. He can play second, third, and first, and he can DH. Ariel Lopez says this. Let's go. Great sign. Let LFGM. Now on to bigger and better things. More moves to come. Well, we'll see. We will see. I would expect some even bigger moves coming up. Baez is a bigger move. Scherzer is a big move. I mean, those are the kinds of moves we're going to be looking to. Stroman, although I would not make a move. I wouldn't be surprised if he left. That would not surprise me. And I don't know if you know this, but Stroman, he's decided to do a podcast where he talks about cultural things. And let me tell you something. Don't quit your day. And he's doing it with his sister. I hope he can do it long term because this stuff is not easy doing this on a regular basis. And he's gonna be on camera. I'm not on camera and I'm doing this. It's a pain in the neck sometimes because there's a lot of work. I don't know if he can handle it. That'd be very interesting to see how that podcast works out. Kenneth Flood says Scherzer will only use us to drive up the price. How much higher can you get the price up? He's the best pitcher on the market. He's going to look for Bauer money. He's going to look for Bauer money. I mean, that's what he's going to be looking at, you know. That's exactly what he's going to be looking for a Trevor Bauer, cuckoo for Cocoa Buff's money, you know. Just going through my Twitter account. Oh, here's a little interesting tidbit on Trevor's story. Hearing Trevor's, this is from Isaac at iTalk Studios YT. Hearing Trevor's story might be meeting with the Red Sox soon. Yeah, Trevor's story I mentioned this in my video. He should sign a 1-year deal with some team and try to do what Simeon did last year. From Hansel, Scherzer would be a dream sign, but if McNeil's attitude was a problem, Scherzer would flip Lindor and make a few players here cry. Let me tell you something. That's kind of what this team needs. That attitude of Scherzer. That is something they desperately need here. As a guy that's going to be, is going to knock over table, is going to, wants to win, is driven to win. They need that desperately. He may not be a leader, say, like David Wright, but he's not going to put up with any of this garbage in the dugout. And we still don't know who the manager's going to be. We haven't even gotten into that yet. We don't even know who the manager is going to be. That's another story. That's another scenario. Okay, let me run down some of the names here. Some other players. Chris Bryant. I mentioned him a little bit before. I would assume the Mets are out of this with Chris. I don't know where he's going to go, but I know there's a lot of teams that are in on him because of the fact that he can play third base, second base, everyone in the outfield. He's more versatile than Escobar. You know, it's interesting when I mentioned about Escobar. It's going to be interesting to see how much he plays third base. Somebody mentioned, guess who said it, that this probably puts Beatty back 2 years. Nah, not necessarily, but it keeps the seat warm and has a quality player there. Kyle Seager should be. It's funny you should mention that, Richard. Richard says Mets should sign Scherzer to a 3-year, $105 million contract. Well, it's interesting. Last week, I did a video on the Mets signing Scherzer, hopefully, to a 3-year, $100 million contract. It's funny you should ask. It's funny you should mention. But but Kyle Seager will be a free agent. It is a free agent because the Mariners did not pick up his option. Who knows where he's going to go? I would assume anyone that was interested in Escobar is probably going to zero in on Kyle Seager. I don't know where he's going. The Seager brothers, they're both going places. I don't know where the hell they're going. Trevor Story mentioned I'll put Boston down with him. Don't know where Correa is going. Don't know where Simeon's going. I know that Texas is interested. Houston's interested. Um, maybe he's going to get a big contract. Simeon had a big year. He'd be better off just going in as a second baseman than a shortstop. Left field, we have Kyle Schwarber out there, no qualifying offer. Eddie Rosario, no qualifying offer. Interesting players. I like Schwarber a lot for a left-handed bat. Starling Marte is still out there. He has 6 teams on him. The Marlins, the Mets, the Astros, the Yankees, the Rangers, and the Phillies. We've heard nothing here with the Yankees. Nothing. I don't know what's going on with the Yankees. Yankees are always in on these big players, and I don't hear them with anybody. Corey Seager's the perfect player for them, and they haven't really talked much to him. They said they're monitoring the situation. Haven't heard anything with them. Nick Castellanos, he's got the qualifying offer. I don't know where he might go. I think a really good team I can see him going to a really good team or to a really bad team. I think a team that has like a top 10 pick will want to bring him in because they won't lose a pick, or some team that's so good they're not going to worry about losing their qualifying offer. I mean their draft pick. Avisel Garcia, he's out there. He was with the Brewers last year. He's bouncing around a little bit. He'd be an interesting guy. Mike Conforto, where's Michael going to go? I think the Yankees would be the perfect spot for him with that left-handed power. The Mariners are out there still. He's from that area, lived in Oregon, grew up there. And, of course, the Phillies. That's the obvious one. But I can see him going either the Phillies or the Mariners. From Richard, what do you think about Corey Seager playing second or third base for us? I don't think the Mets are going to sign him. I haven't heard anything with the Mets and Seager. And he's going to look at himself as a shortstop, though. Maybe long term he'll probably be a third baseman. I don't see him signing with the Mets. I don't see that at all, to be honest with you. That might be the one guy I don't see them signing. I would sign him, but is he going to play another position other than shortstop? I doubt it. We haven't heard anything about him playing other positions. Jorge Soler, who was with the Cubs, the Royals, and he was with last year the Braves. Keep an eye on him. I don't know where he's going to go, but the Mets should keep an eye on him. That wouldn't cost them anything. There's no qualifying offer. I mentioned Scherzer. Haven't heard anything with him other than this article I read before. Kevin Gausman, the Mets have been attached to him. Carlos Rondon, I haven't heard much about him. Now it seems like the Mets are in on Robbie Ray, I would think. He might be the guy they would do that with, give up the draft pick. Andrew Chafin as a reliever, as a lefty. He pitched for the Cubs last year, the A's last year. The Mets should go after him. Mention him, Colin McHugh, who was with the Mets many years ago. He came up the same time that um, Matt Harvey came up. I don't know where he's going to land, but I would think about bringing him in just to be a middle reliever. I mean, a spot starter. Um, and and again, talking about this again, I don't know who the Mets manager is going to be. They have four names out there, but who knows if they're talking to them because they've been so busy, obviously signing and talking to free agents and talking to teams about trades. We have not heard anything. I've heard nothing about the manager. Mets going to bring in Buck Showalter? Don't know. Are they going to bring in Brad Ausmus? Don't know. And then these other two names are Joe Espada and Eric Chavez. These names have popped up. No clue. No clue what's going on with some of these players and with some of these managers. Nothing. Heard nothing about it. Other than what you've heard, I haven't heard anything. All right, let's see. Nothing new yet. But Abreu says, "Hello, Hud. I like the sign. Guess he will be playing more third base. Yeah, he'll probably be playing. He'll probably be the third baseman on this team. And it also gives them a little insurance in case they lose out on Baez. I think they can be very active, even if they lose Baez. I think somebody will come in and sort of replace that spot. I don't think they're just gonna let it fall instead of Jeff McNeil. I think they kind of moved on from Jeff McNeil. Just a feeling. This move kind of makes me think that they're moving on from McNeil. You know what I mean? Because they can bounce him around instead of Jeff McNeil. They don't have to do that with Jeff McNeil. And the fact that again they're having this problem with McNeil, I don't think he's gonna be here. I just got that feeling. I think he's gonna be gone now. And we're going to have to hope that the Mets bring in some talent for him because he's going to burn them. I can guarantee you that. He's too good of a hitter not to burn them. He's going to win a batting title one day, Jeff McNeil. He's that good of a hitter. He's going to win a batting title. I can guarantee you that one. He's that good of a hitter. He doesn't strike out, puts the ball in play all the time. From Rich, I hope it's Showalter. He won't put up with the nonsense and BS. Exactly. That sort of nonsense that happened last year, in the last few years, will not continue. And the energy on the team would be much, much better with him in that dugout. I can't tell you how happy I am that Louis Rojas got fired. That was a good thing that happened for the Mets and really for the franchise. They couldn't have him running this team much longer because he's got no energy. He's a stiff, nice guy, but he's a stiff as a manager. And I just hope that the next guy they bring in has experience, has positive experience. Brad Ausmus, his first year as a manager, the Tigers won 90 games. They won the American League Central. Now after that, it was a disaster because the team got old. They traded Verlander. Cabrera got old. Espada, I don't know anything about Espada, but I don't want to see the Mets bring in a guy with no experience. The same goes for Eric Chavez. I want to bring in a guy who's got experience. Buck is the obvious guy right now. He's the guy I'd like to have in here. He managed in New York. He's managed in different places. He'll have an owner that's going to spend a lot of money. He's going to have the players. It's not going to be a situation he doesn't have the players. Unlike say when Terry was here and so that's what's going to be a little bit different moving forward with this new ownership. Now, please like this video if you haven't already, and subscribe to the Baseball Hut. Again, we will be on again tomorrow. Let me put the link into the chat. Put the link into the chat, and hopefully you'll go into the Baseball Hut 2 and subscribe. because I will be doing a live stream tomorrow night on that channel. And it's basically same shit, different day. Same shit, different day. You know how it is. And we'll do a live stream from here, but on that channel. So let me put the link into the chat. Baseball Hut 2 from John. Rojas should have handled McNeil. He didn't, and now we will lose McNeil. If you trade him, how you losing him? And it's more than just a Rojas. Okay, you can't just sort of dump it all on him. There's no leadership in the clubhouse. There's no leadership. When it comes to uh, players in there. If they had David Wright, that stuff would not have happened at all. So you can't just sort of dump it all on Rojas. I'll say that about him. You can't dump it all on Rojas. That's unfair. Very unfair, to be honest with you. So I mean, let's be fair in this situation. And I'm always fair. Or at least I try to be. Now I will have, I think, a video on the Baseball Hut 2 later about Scherzer. We'll see. But Scherzer is an interesting guy because, like I said, they need to bring in a guy that's not going to put up with the losing. He wants to win. That's just in terms just of his personality type, he's a real alpha male. The Mets need some more guys like that. They got too many nice people running the Mets and being in the Met clubhouse. Let me see. There was something else I wanted to tell. Oh, the non-tenders. I'll mention some candidates that are probably going to get non-tendered or not non-tendered. Steve C., do you remember me? No. Non-tender candidates. I love that scene in Endgame where the Scarlet Witch says to Thanos, "You ruined my life," and he's like, "I don't even know who you are." But non-tender candidates, and some will be tendered the contract, and some will not. Miguel Castro, I think he'll be tendered the contract. He had a good year. Sean Reed Foley, he'll get tendered the contract. He pitched pretty well. Yenzi Diaz, I think he might be a less chance of getting the contract. Drew Smith, the same situation. Robert Gazelman is in trouble. Robert Gazelman is in big trouble. He's probably not going to be here next year. He might not be here next week. Trevor Williams, I'm not sure. Less than 50-50 that he gets tendered. Jordan Yamamoto, maybe. Dom Smith, no. Jeff McNeil, no. But Smith could get traded, and same goes for Jeff McNeil. And I think the other player that could be non-tendered is J.D. Davis, but I think he will be here, and he'll be moved. So we have at least 3-4 guys that are going to not be here. Davis, Smith, and McNeil. McNeil's that I think could be gone. Like I said earlier, I don't think he's going to be here much longer. Also about Eduardo Escobar, he doesn't have a qualifying offer attached to him, so the Mets picked him up. They didn't have to give up they have to give up their draft pick. From Rosioyo, Santiago. Good pickup, good play. He's a good player. He's very good. You got to pick up good players, and he's a good clubhouse guy. So the Mets kind of taking to heart how bad the Met clubhouse was. Bad mix there. From Richard, I like Trevor Williams. He would be my number 5 star. I guess starter, he means. Yeah, we'll see. He'd be, to me, more of a swingman, but it depends on how they look at him. If they look at him as nothing more than like a 6 or 7 star, he's going to be gone. They'll not tender him. And I'll mention this about this trade that the Mets had made with the Baez. Uh, I don't feel bad that they trade Crow Armstrong. By the way, I was not a big fan of his. Just don't. I get a bad feeling about him. I don't know why. Let me just look at this trade again. This is the trade they made on July 30th. So they traded Baez and Trevor Williams for Pete Crow Armstrong. Pete Crow Armstrong, who really is known as a guy, he's a great fielder, but can't hit. I'll take a guy that can hit any day of the week, and I can teach him the field. Please like this video if you haven't already, and subscribe. And if you're watching on replay, leave comments in the comment section. My live streams always get good comments on it. And and I hope that the Mets bring in Max Scherzer, because you'll be like, I told you, hear it first. When I mentioned that the Mets needed to get a middle infielder to play second, I mentioned Trevor Story, and the Mets brought in Javier Baez. So I try to be ahead of everybody else. By the way, not that I'm rubbing it in, but so I think that's pretty much it. I think. I mean, we went over enough stuff tonight. This Escobar thing kind of came out of nowhere. I wasn't really expecting this. I don't think anybody was. So he's signed a 2-year deal for $20 million with an option. I guess a team option. Javi Baez is still in play. The Mets are talking about Max Scherzer, believe it or not. And they still don't have a manager. From Jason Kimball. Does the Baez to Detroit have any legs? Yes, because they need a shortstop. They don't have a shortstop. And they want to make a big move. They have a manager that wants to win. They actually had a decent year last year, even though their record was the same as the Mets. That has legs to it. The thing with the Red Sox, I'm surprised about, but Baez has a lot of teams on him. He probably has Houston on him, the Rangers on him, the Mets, the Tigers, and the Red Sox. I'm surprised about the Red Sox. From Robert, at least this guy can play third base, unlike Davis. Yeah, I mean, Davis can't play the field. If he could play anywhere average, it's left field. He can't play third. And he's got such a great arm, he can't throw the first. He was much better in 2021 than he was in 2019, but not much better. He's got no arm for it. He's got no arm for the position. It's the weirdest thing. He lobs it up there. I think those 90 miles an hour, but and he's pitched in the and the bull out of the bullpen with the Astros, and the guy's he just can't. He can't throw the first. How can you not be able to throw the first? But I don't get that. But yeah, it's interesting to see where Correa is going to go. Like I mentioned a little while ago, Correa, if he doesn't go to Houston, if he doesn't go to Detroit, where's he going to go? Maybe Texas, maybe to the Rangers. But they're going to spend $300 million when they spend big money on shortstops. That doesn't normally work out well. But that's a guy I could see him going to the Rangers. But other than the Rangers and the Tigers, where's Correa going to go? I don't know. All right. So I will be back tomorrow night doing a live stream here from the comic book hut or whatever you want to call it here. And I will talk again about the Mets. Hopefully, have some more moves about the Mets. Probably come on around 6:30, 7 o'clock. And also, I'll be back on Sunday, believe it or not, on this channel. Again, talking about the Mets. So you'll have like 3 days of me doing streaming live from here from New York City. And you need to come by and subscribe and like the video and let me know what you think about anything I say in the video. Now, I would point out you get snippy with me. You can send off to the Phantom Zone, and I'll do it in Spanish too. I'll write it in Spanish if I can. I know I say send you off to the Phantom Zone in Spanish, but I did that today. But again, we'll be back tomorrow night, Baseball Hut 2, and we'll be back on Sunday on this channel because that's the regular day for the show. I'll come on around 4:30 on Sunday. It seems to work out pretty good to come on at a consistent time. I was going to come on earlier, with this video, but I was waiting for something to occur here. I wasn't ready yet to go on. But we have a big signing for the Mets. And Joey wants to know, quick question, how old is Max Scherzer? He's 37. Off to the Phantom Zone. Yeah, so Scherzer's 37. But he still has a lot left. He probably has another 2 years left in that arm. But, he's not really the horse that he was. He can still give you 5, 6 strong innings, great innings. But after that, you're pushing him. So you got to be careful with him, to be honest with you. But again, I'll be back tomorrow night on the Baseball Hut 2. I'll put the link into the chat one more time before I forget. And more importantly, we'll be back here on Sunday. And I do the best I can with my show, in that I don't really, not on camera. I don't want to be this focus of attention, to be honest with you. You're the focus of the attention, is you, the subscribers that come in and want to take the time to listen to me ramble on for an hour and a half. But so I appreciate that. So tomorrow we'll be back on the Baseball Hut 2. I'm going to give myself a bit, it's getting kind of late now, but we'll see. May I have a video on this channel tomorrow on Scherzer? We'll see. But so I'll be back tomorrow on Saturday around 6:30. And then on Sunday I'll be back at 4:30 to do the big show, which is every Sunday night on this channel. And on Sunday, hopefully we'll have a whole bunch of moves. Now, Michael Waka, who I know you all were clamoring to know, says a footnote. He signed tonight, I guess, with the Tigers. He signed the contract. Thank God for Michael Waka. Let's see what Michael went. Just to say, because I mentioned him, I want to mention him. Where did Michael go? Signed with the Red Sox. I knew it. Let me see anything else on Twitter. Thank you, Aaron. Yeah, so nothing further. But the Mets are in on the big players. I think they're out on Chris Bryant. I think Chris Bryant, they're probably out. I think that ship has set sail. So that's not going to happen. They're talking to Marte. Hopefully we'll have some answers on him. Hopefully we'll have an answer on Scherzer. And I think we'll get an answer on Baez. So thank you all for coming by. Please subscribe to the Baseball Hut. I'll be back tomorrow night in the Baseball Hut 2. Thank you. Have a good night. And I'll see you later.